So work from home is the new normal, and teleconferencing and hosting meetings over the internet is the new normal. So today we are going to talk to Mr. Anuj Garg, the co-founder of Say Namaste app.
Hi Anuj.
Hi Abhinav. Hi Siddharth. Thanks for having me on.
So Anuj, tell us, is this a government of India initiative? What is Say Namaste? Everybody is saying that maybe a government of India has brought up this app to compete with Zoom, which people are saying it's a Chinese app, which it is not. But still, so what is this?
Nate, thank you, and I'm flattered. But before accepting that flattery and praise, I would say, "Ki, boss, please give us the credit. This has been made by a private Indian company sitting out of Bombay. We have been going crazy in this lockdown, just trying to get this going. So it has been developed by Inscripts, and yes, that's pretty much the story. Where the story became ki it comes from government of India, and that I think some of that is best left to the WhatsApp groups where it has been forwarded around. But absolutely, it's been done by us right here in Bombay.
So this is actually a good thing also, because if people are saying it's a government of India initiative, so this brings a lot of trust into Say Namaste, and it's become almost viral, right? Everybody is talking about, yaar, ye mat use karo, Say Namaste use karo.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I mean, I think so. When we were doing this, when we started, I'll tell you, it was just something that we began. It was an internal app that we wanted to use because there was so much noise and genuine concern around what it was doing. Now, Inscript as a company, we have been focused on creating communication products for the last 10 years. And we have built communication products for some of the biggest Fortune 500 companies in the world. So as a joke, we said, "Arey yaar, ye sab na ho raha hai. Why don't we just begin our own app? Let's start something and we use it internally." Internally, हमने use किया. It started working very well. We really enjoyed it. I put it on Facebook for my friends and family to use. And उसमें से I sent it on WhatsApp to a couple of my friends saying that, "Hey guys, just use this." And somewhere that message just took a life of its own, and it just became some total viral thing over there. And so of course in that process, people have added their own, I would say, tadka to it, which is fine, no worries. But our focus has been essentially just creating a great, secure, easy to use video conferencing experience for all our users.
Sure.
Great. Yeah, Abhinav, anything?
Anuj, I mean, it's rather a matter of intrigue and curiosity. I mean, you launched something in the middle of, work from home environment, and congratulations to you. I mean, you have reached a certain milestone and people have been talking about your app. So like Siddharth mentioned, of course, there are some permutations and combinations of fake news and, viral content which has no authenticity, which claims that you have been backed by the Indian government. In some days, probably you'll be backed by China, and in some ways, maybe Illuminatis as well. Now, the other side of the story is you have developed a product which has shown its proof of concept. Okay,
Right.
It's a minimum viable product. There is a substantial number of people on your platform. Are you in the process of raising funds, because that is the next viable step as of now?
So that's a great question, and we are not looking to raise funds right now. Essentially, that's because Inscripts as a company has been a profitable business for us over the last 10 years. We have significant reserves that we have been able to build out in-house. So maybe at some stage down the line, like you said, it's a proof of concept. It's something which, it's a proof of concept, and we're almost at about 1 million users. So I would say it's pretty viable is more than a proof of concept now. But before you actually go towards a full-fledged commercial launch where you're able to say, okay, we're able to do these things, I think that's even, before that, we don't even want to think about any kind of strategic alliances also. It's just, let's just build the product. And one thing which you mentioned earlier, आपने जैसे बोला कि regarding, कि this sort of viral thing and all, it's very important. One thing is, there's been a month now since, almost a month since we have launched. Something which goes viral without any substance will not exist 1 month later. It is something which goes up for 2 days and then it's out. But the moment this happened, we realized that the momentum is there. We have the expertise, and even in this time, for example, we actually onboarded 5 new team members in our engineering team. One of the few companies I think right now who's hiring in this climate also, and it's just because it's like, hey, this is a great opportunity for us. Obviously there's a lot of demand for this. Let's just run with it and let's do the best that we can do. Focus on the product. Baki sab ho jayega. Nothing else matters. That's what I believe in.
Sure. Now, Siddharth and I have like almost divided our phase. So Siddharth will ask more questions about in the business. I'll be more on the business side of it. So I'll just ask one more question, and then of course Siddharth can come in later. Uh, Anuj, times have been a good test of most of the startup. Now you are a bootstrap company, right? If I understand it right.
Yes.
Okay. Now, maybe because of fake news or maybe any unintended news, you have got a decent market equity. I mean, people know you, and for any investors to raise, any entrepreneur to raise funds, and I speak this as an entrepreneur myself, and for any entrepreneur to raise funds in this environment has been quite tough over the last 3-4 years.
Yes.
Now, what kind of reactions have you been getting from the Indian investor system? Because I'm pretty sure, no matter what you say on camera, you have been approaching investors as well. So, is there any specific kind of reaction? What kind of feedback you are getting from angel investor community or maybe VCs? Is there something which you are getting from there?
Yeah, no, I mean, I can absolutely answer that, what you're saying. And so we've not, honestly, I mean, I'm not trying to be, presumptuous when I say this, but we have not had the time to engage in any investor outreach or any investor conversation. The incoming has been so much for us, even in terms of just demand, product, and everything. That being said, I have had introductory conversations with some of the top VCs in the country already. And of course, these guys are there because they know their job is best at what they do. And my conversations with them were very simple. It was like, it was funny. They sent me a link for the meeting for a rival video conferencing software, which I shall not name. And I said, hey, impossible. Let's just use Say Namaste, yaar. And we had a call on Say Namaste. I think pretty much that was like an amazing interaction because I'm speaking to the VC on our own platform. And when they asked me that, do you want to, what's your fundraising? I said, listen, I mean, it's too early to be going into the conversation because also as an entrepreneur, when you are looking, for example, tomorrow when you look for a baseline valuation, right? You want to reach a point where you realize that, okay, now I'm at a point where, I have created a good product. I have good traction in terms of the usage. I have repeatable users happening. I have revenue models figured out on this. Now I want to get a venture capitalist on board who will help me. Yes, will give me the money, will also add talent to my team, help me in the larger strategic play. And this is somebody who essentially I look at it as that we get the fire going. They're going to add fuel to the fire. So it's just about a little bit of timing also, which is very important. And we are fortunate to be in a position where we don't require that capital at this stage.
You mean you're consistent with revenues? I mean, that is
with Inscript we've been consistent, and we've done a lot over there. We are one of the top players in terms of we create SDKs and APIs for for communication. Essentially, that's what we do. It's a business to business or business to developer product. So we've been doing that and we've been working on that. So it helps us, right? When you have a particular stream of business which you can kind of depend on, you're able to create that kind of subsidies, I would say, in-house to fund other businesses.
Sure. So that.
Yeah. So Anuj, all the communication that is happening now over the internet is dogged by security issues. Mm-hmm. So now Say Namaste is very new in the market, and so how are you going to address those and build trust among the customers?
Yeah, I think so. That's a great point, right? And I think that was essentially what was the genesis of this idea, even for us internally. So with Inscripts, we have actually been, working with enterprise clients. We have worked with some of the biggest names in the financial sector, and so for them, security and privacy is something which is sort of the key points when any conversation you're having. So for us also, when we decided to go about this, security, privacy, these things have been a integral part of the DNA of our company for many years. So we made sure that we are going to account for all of those things. And even now, we're not stopping at that. Like, for example, we're already working with some third-party, independent contractors who are able to give us an audit done for our security layers to make sure that we are compliant. And right now, our motto is that, let's work as much as we can to break our own system so nobody else can. And that's essentially what we are following right now.
Great. Okay. Like the competition now, even Google and other big players are jumping into this with free models. So do you foresee monetizing this system later on? And would this just be an enterprise solution, or would this also, cater to a normal public communication system?
Yeah. So, I mean, see, let's look at video conferencing, right? Video conferencing is a 20-year-old solution. Let's think about it that way. So it's not something which has come in today and someone said, oh, we've discovered this concept of video conferencing. But this is the right intersection of demand, of time, of need, which has given a lot of attention to video conferencing, and it has become a common parlance for most people who never did video conferencing. Video conferencing was restricted to, between high-end corporates, and today you have video conferencing being done between friends, families, SMBs. Anybody is saying that, and this thing is not just a COVID reality, but even in a post-COVID world, there are a significant amount of advantages, both in terms of time, cost saving, that people are going to look at in terms of and say, hey, let's 100% it will not go towards only video conferencing. There's not possible, but there will definitely be, if earlier it was 1x, today it is 50x the demand, right? So it will be a more hybrid model that will happen. I think there is a space for a lot of players, not just us as the only Indian company, but a lot of other players to come in and to actually establish a niche, to be able to serve a market well. And for example, like we are doing other things also. Now, if you look at a competition, like you say Google Meet, for example, the competition, if by that logic one ends up doing as an entrepreneur, it's a very scary thought to be in, because then you don't want to do anything. Because anything that today you want to do is Google, Facebook, Reliance, any of these guys will always be there. But as an entrepreneur, you want to make sure that, that let's keep pushing the bar. Let's keep creating a better experience. There are things today which we can do, which a Google Meet may not be able to do. And simple example is that we are also working in building our product with regional language support. So we are not restricting it to only English, right? Now, the moment we are doing stuff like that, it's giving us an edge. Yeah, sure, it may not appeal to everybody, but I'm sure it appeals to a lot of people to have that UI experience in the language. Our authentication method, for example, is moving towards an OTP system. So because especially in India, we look at OTP as a secure mechanism for banking transaction or credit card transactions. Now, if the problem is security in video conferencing, why not make that authentication for a video call is done via your mobile phone OTP? So these are kind of very interesting product plays also that we have up our sleeve, which we are implementing. And I think that is also giving us an advantage over anybody else who's out there.
Great.
Sure. Now, Anuj, this is a rather intriguing answer which you gave. Now, video conferencing is not something which is a relatively new concept. It has been in existence and around for quite some time.
Right.
And you have emerged from India. Now, when it comes to, differentiating yourself from your competitors, or maybe the best thing any startup entrepreneur can do is to create a blue ocean rather than fighting in a red ocean.
Right.
So
right.
What is the new market which you have identified within India, so that you are able to create your own niche, something which is specific to the Indian market per se, like you said, language,
Right.
Going local or going vernacular.
Right.
And so parameters like these, what are the things in your mind which will make you uniquely placed in the Indian market?
So yeah, I mean, we think about this, and that's something which is always on the top of mind in terms of how we are going about building the product. So I think there are a few things. One is just one comment on sort of when we talk about video conferencing as an old, I think video conferencing also as a concept has largely existed as conference room to conference room or branch office to branch office. And now we have this whole new wave of we say the cloud video conferencing, which is essentially a distributed video conferencing. So it becomes a many to many this thing. So where your personal devices have now become the video conferencing equipment, even for corporates, right? So what we are looking at is like I mentioned earlier, in terms of whether we are saying that with video conferencing we want to offer regional language support, we want to offer authentication, which is more in tune with what the Indian consumer is more attuned to. Even stuff like for us to make sure that that we are offering this, like for example, our entire data is stored on servers located in India. So that is something which we're able to offer that. We're also able to offer white labeling solutions for any corporates are looking that. We're also able to offer. So any of these kind of enterprise plays also come into place, which allows any of the anybody to take charge of their video conferencing solution and use a Say Namaste vis-a-vis anyone else. Also, from a product and a technical standpoint, we are very cognizant of the infrastructure realities that exist in our country, in certain parts definitely. So we are also designing the software in a way that we can also work on low bandwidth connections. So the way we are optimizing our video streams, the way that we are working towards making sure that even if somebody has a very poor connection, they're able to come onto the call. If not the video, at least they'll be part of the call in a very smooth audio call, so they don't miss the conversation. So stuff like that is being done very, very actively.
So if I ask you, how will you define your company in 2 lines, or maybe in a line? What's the vision of your company? How will you define your company in the briefest possible way?
Great. I mean, I would. So I started, and I want to stick to this. Is what I've been saying internally when we define our product is let's create a one-click video conferencing solution for all Indians. So
all
that's
Indians.
which is what we are focusing on, right? And essentially there are the reason is like even during this COVID lockdown situation, I was playing the technical support kind of person. As default, we all entrepreneurs end up doing that, especially if you're in a tech field, where I've had family members calling me and telling me, "Acha, beta, how do we do this call? How do we do that?" So one of the things was that let me solve this problem and make sure it's easy to use. And so one of the things was that we're building this out. All of us are locked up in our homes, and I needed to get some usability testing done. One of the media houses had asked me that how did you do your usability testing, and I said it was very simple. My mother was in the other room, so I told her, "Mom, can you just start a meeting with me?" And every time she would try and start a meeting, and she would come and tell me, "Anuj, this is how do I do this? How do I do that?" I would be like, "Mom, chhod do. Let me come back to you with an easier solution." So we kept distilling it till where it's come to a point now. It's very easy to use, so anybody can go on, start a meeting. So there is that focus which we have kept throughout. Where we are also forcing user behaviors. We're not trying to create the most powerful video conferencing solution on the planet, but I want to create the easiest video conferencing solution so you can just get started. One another point on this, I just want to add, like when you talk about video conferencing, right? It can become very, very complicated. You can add live video relay to this, do this, that. I thought about it and I said, what do you really need in a call, right? You need video conferencing, you need file sharing, screen sharing. Pretty much that's it. That covers the entire gamut of what 95% of use cases would be.
Sure. Now I get that an entrepreneur always looks for a solution rather than highlighting or glorifying the problem. But
Right.
if I ask you, as with your experience as an entrepreneur, you have been in this. If I correctly understand, you have been in enterprising over the last 10 years.
Right.
What, according to you, is more important? Is it vision, having a vision as an entrepreneur, or articulating that vision? What is more important for an entrepreneur to succeed in the long run?
No, great question. And I'll share my personal experience in this. It really depends on the audience that you are working for. As far as if you're as a product play for any entrepreneur, where you whatever the product may be, right? It's extremely important that you are very clear in your vision. But the moment you want to, there's this amazing video by Derek Silvers about this, the sort of second follower. He talks about, that it's very important for you to have your second follower in place. Someone, you believe in your vision, but you need somebody else to also believe in your vision. And if you cannot articulate your vision, then you will never get that. So when it comes to building a team, when it comes to, investors, for example, or anybody in the ecosystem, if you can't articulate your vision, then, you are lost. But just articulating your vision and just speaking without actually being able to execute that vision or having a very strong vision, then that also doesn't work. So I think you definitely need both of those skills to really succeed as an entrepreneur.
Okay. So that.
Anuj, now Say Namaste has been in the beta stage, right? We have been under lockdown for 60 days now. So how did you guys get this app going while working from home, I'm sure?
Yeah. Just a side note on this was I got a call from a relative, and she said, "Namaste, beta." I said, "Namaste, auntie." "Namaste, beta." Namaste. Then I figured she was actually saying "Namaste, beta." She was going on to that joke. Anyway, I just remembered since you mentioned this.
Don't crack another auntie joke again, okay?
So there was I think it has been very surprising in terms of how we gone ahead about this. The internal joke when we talk about this, I told my team, I said, you know what, for us तो normal तो कोई काम कर नहीं रहा है, but lockdown में सबको बड़ा शौक आ गया, work from home बहुत बढ़िया कर रहे हैं सब. So it has been amazing. I mean, jokes apart, the team has really come together, and really, like, it's like really, you can see that they're pushing in, hours after hours, weekdays, weekends, doesn't matter, because everyone's really excited about the kind of traction that we are getting and the interest, and we're just really working hard because we've been a collaboration communication company. We've always had very strong cadences in place as a company to make sure whether there are daily stand-ups. We have our one-on-ones with the entire team. Like, I will do about 15 one-on-ones every week. Everybody in the team does that. We have our retrospective meetings, we have our Monday kickoff meetings, and all of these were already sort of coming into a fashion where it didn't really matter whether you are present or not. We had these disciplines in place. And so post, when we went into a work from home, it was all about just kind of moving these to the virtual video conference solution. And that helped us really keep a discipline during this time, because it's easy to not have that. That's, I think, been really helpful in terms of just having that muscle towards, just going after your goals. And with the lockdown in place, the last relics of having this quote unquote tower week and all the nonsense, has melted away. It's just moved towards, okay, let's focus on deliverables. You manage your time, you manage what needs to be done, and you manage your expectations. So I think that also has been a fantastic learning for us during this phase.
Okay, so when do we see a final rollout of the application?
Yeah, so we are working very hard on it. We've just launched our Android app that went live a couple of days ago, and amazingly, it has been trending as one of the top 5 in the country. So which was really an amazing surprise for us, and we were very happy about it. So again, we're just running with it now. So we are, our web platform is actually now very stable. Our Android is doing well as well, and so we hope to have the iOS also within the next week, 10 days. And so then we are going to be present across all platforms. And post that, it is a race to make sure that we increase stability across all platforms. And then as and when we require, we are able to add limited but essential features to improve the product offering.
Great. Abhinav?
We
can wrap it up in next 2 questions.
Okay. So Anuj, abhi, a couple of days ago, we were talking to Sameer Raje from Zoom as well. Now, and I asked this question to him as well. So I'll pose this to you too. Yuval Noah Harari predicted that by 2025, 70% of the workforce will work from home. Okay, and now every company, like if I see this in 2025, this will be a cutthroat competition. बहुत सारी कंपनियां होंगी, सब लोग एक ही टारगेट ऑडियंस को वो कर रही हैं, रीचिंग आउट. What are the key differentiators? And this might seem a little rhetoric in the way I'm asking, but it's a different question. Okay, what are the key features you're planning? Like, for example, Facebook. Okay, when it wanted to get ahead of its competitors, they changed and pivoted their game to content creation. Okay, and like most of the companies pivot, seeing the cultural shift which keeps happening in the society. So, Bharat ke lihaz se, as far as India is concerned, what do you think will be the key features? Will it be the ability to record? Will it be content besides video conferencing? Will it be अलग-अलग लोगों को टेबल में अरेंज करके देना, मतलब जैसे कॉन्फ्रेंसेस में होता है 4 लोग अपनी टेबल ले सकते हैं, something which this company called Airmeet is doing, stuff like that. So what are the features according to you which will define video conferencing in India specifically going ahead?
Yeah, so I think, in my view, this is my view on this, is I think it's just not just video conferencing alone, but it is about a larger collaboration play. So as work from home becomes most prevalent, and also work from home is a, let's be honest, it's a privilege, right? It is not something which everyone can do in our country, but that's one thing which, for the ones who will be able to do it, work from home will also move toward the conversation will move towards collaboration. It'll move towards productivity. It'll also move toward, there are some advantages of having a 9 to 5, right? You have some clear boundaries. With the work from home, somehow it's also, lines are merging. So I think any tools which are able to actually address that, where you are able to communicate effectively, and not create so much noise, right, in this environment, will definitely have an edge over anyone else. I think also that we have to be cognizant that you don't want to get into a death by webinar kind of a situation, which seems to be very prevalent at certain levels. So I think that overall I feel that it is going to move towards this, where we are able to cut down the noise, make sure that we are productive when we are working, and it cannot be a gimmicky thing. So for example, one simple example is that when you talk about, oh, let's create a VR environment where people will come and physically sit down, all that nonsense is not required. The essence of the communication piece needs to be figured out, and companies who can really get that in an easy to use, cost effective manner will succeed in India.
तो तुम्हारे कहने का मतलब है कि जुरासिक पार्क बनाना है, रेडी प्लेयर 1 में अगर प्लेयर घुसेंगे दिक्कत हो जाएगी, something like that.
I prefer Jurassic Park over Ready Player One.
Got it.
Okay, has anybody from the government reached out to you for Say Namaste being a GOI initiative? कुछ help मिला है? कुछ anybody?
No, so I mean, I think the government has done its bit. They've announced an innovation challenge, which they've invited companies to participate in and stuff like that. So I think the government overall also in this time they have pushed out a lot of initiatives in trying to push out innovation in startups to create solutions. And I think this is one of those things. So I think it would be unfair for the government to selectively choose one company and then say you run with this. But I think they have been very clear in their sort of how they are approaching this whole situation for innovation during COVID.
Okay, one question. One of the bigger names in this business, we were like Samir Raje. Okay, now we'll edit this, but with Zoom, what happened? In January, they had 10 million users.
Right.
COVID came, lockdown came, and now they have 300 million users. Okay.
Yeah.
So I think this is the right time for you to actually get this going, get the product out and get the whole thing moving. So how soon do you think you will be there?
So I mean, also, I just to mention this, like you said, we're not this thing, but I'll tell you about this number, by the way. The 10 million, 300 million thing is also, I mean, this is like off the record or whatever, but like, if I read that correctly,
users.
It's been picked up as 300 million users, but it's actually 300 million participants. So
correct.
If you are in 10 meetings, then you're counted 10 times actually as a user. So that's one metric which I think they have pushed out very nicely. I mean, it makes.
No, that is what every company does. Even broadcasters do that. That's
okay.
That's the readership circulation, irony. So if a newspaper reaches a house,
right,
the circulation is 1, but the readership can be 5 if there are 5 family members.
Okay. Anyway, so I mean that's great. I mean that's something I can learn from, But but yeah, I just noticed that. But yeah, coming back to sort of. So Siddharth, your question about sort of the timing. Of course, as an entrepreneur, I believe that of course you always want to be right place, right time. There's no brainer about that. But my own learnings have put me in this place. You'd rather be late to a market than early to a market. And it's something which is very sort of sometimes it's counterintuitive because you want to say, first mover advantage. And I've in the past as an entrepreneur, I made this mistake, excited to push something out. And you're ready with the product, you're ready with things, but there are no takers. The market is not ready. Not every company can be an Infosys who's going out there and convincing the world that Indian IT companies are here to stay. That is the biggest contribution that they give to the IT world, right? But that market education. So timing wise, I think you'd rather be in a crowded market, you'd rather be in a crowded space or a hot market than be in a empty market and be the only one there. So definitely we are excited about the timing though.
Okay.
That's a good way to put it. And I'll extend Siddharth's question, and this will be our last question probably. But usually entrepreneurs have their skin in the game. So when you want to push a product, it's up to you. But it's usually first mover's advantage is a passe now. It's usually the second player who gets the things right. I mean, that has been some of the learnings from the past, and failing fast and understanding things. These are some of the insights which people usually get when they are on this journey. Now, last question to you will be: how is your mental health as of now? As an entrepreneur, how are you dealing with stress, managing things, managing employees? Because it's very important for an entrepreneur who's leading his company to be mentally fit all the time. Only then can he motivate his employees. And human beings are usually social animals, and when you tell them not to go with their basic instinct of socializing. Mental, harassment won't be the right word, but sort of mental fuck ups, if I understand it right. That would be, this is quite common. So, how are you dealing with your own mental health as of now? What are you doing? What are you reading? Any music list which you're watching or subscribing
Yeah,
to?
no, Abhinav, first I really want to thank you for this question, because it is, as an entrepreneur personally, I feel that this is so underplayed out in any of this stuff, like, I mean, really, I'm really happy that you've asked this question, because I think one of the biggest things that we don't talk about today is the health of the entrepreneur, because there's always, of course, there's always a pressure as an entrepreneur to have the perfect calm appearance in front of your customers, employees, investors. You may be a piece of mess over there because there's so much pressure, for example, and I think that not enough attention is given to that. And I think that it's great that you're asking this question, and we can do an entire segment on this, but I would love to.
A fisherman sees a fisherman from a distance. So
correct. And so personally for me, I'm very particular about, I take about 30 minutes every day to meditate, and that has kind of helped me sort of just ground myself a little bit, because it's a noisy world, right? And that really helps me. Of course, just get out a little bit, on the balcony, terrace a little bit, just get some fresh air also helps. And I'm fortunate to stay with my family. I have a 10-month-old baby with me. So whatever, socializing needs I've got, he makes sure that it all goes towards there. So absolutely.
That's great. Okay, Anuj, we wrap it up with one last question, which I had asked you earlier as well. Your message to the budding entrepreneurs who are actually fighting it out, who are probably losing their mind during this lockdown period, who are actually, falling back on their dreams, everything. So right now, under this lockdown period, an Indian company, an Indian entrepreneur has come out with Say Namaste app, which is being talked about so much, and which is actually competing with global majors. So this has to be inspiring for other smaller entrepreneurs who are actually struggling in this lockdown period.
Yeah, I think you're too kind, Siddharth, on that. And I look at myself also as a budding entrepreneur, and I think the day you stop looking at yourself as a budding entrepreneur is the day you are no longer an entrepreneur. So I think we are always constantly, entrepreneurship is a state of mind. There's nothing else, and whatever opportunity is there, you work towards it. It is a lifestyle. It is how you are. So I would say for anyone out there, any fellow entrepreneur, just keep at it. For the world, it may be an overnight success, but the reality is that very often that overnight success may be 20 years in the making. So absolutely, just keep it up, and keep it up, and the contribution that you make towards society and the world at large is great. So don't lose hope on this.
Great. Thanks for talking to us, Anuj.
Thank you so much, Siddharth. Thank you so much, Abhinav. Real pleasure talking to you guys. Thanks.
It was really insightful. And next time, be safe. Next time, we hope that we are recording this on your app.
Okay. Yes.
Get that recording features. Trust me, everybody is going to use this.
Done. Okay, sir. Done.
Okay.
Thanks a lot, guys. Yeah.
Thank you.
Take care.
Yeah.